Hello and welcome to part 45 of this Getting Started in Android Development series. We're going to continue on with the theme of threads in this particular tutorial. What I wanted to do was demonstrate how we can use a thread to update a text view every second to display the date and time. I'm going to start by actually illustrating some code which as people starting out in Java and Android might be tempted to do, but doesn't work. So I want to show you a failure. So what I've done here, I've simply created a text view in the layout, and it's just a text view in the middle where we're going to display the time. What I've done then is just created a simple date formatter. We're going to display the year, the month, the date, the hours, minutes and seconds. All I'm going to do is go through a little while loop where we update the time for a total of 20 seconds. So all I'm doing here, this is one of many methods in Android which we can use to actually get the date and time. So create a calendar instance of the calendar, and using the date format, I'm going to then get the time. The system time is in Android devices, it's the number of milliseconds past 1970, and then we can just convert that figure into something we can recognize ourselves, and then just once I've got the time, the formatted date effectively, I'm just going to set the text view. What this piece of code here is doing is basically just putting a delay of 1 second in the program, and then I'm going to increment the count and just repeat the loop. So in theory this should just update every second for 20 seconds. We should see the time ticking. I've actually preloaded the app here, so what I'm going to do is just run it and I'll show you what actually happens. So you can see it's quite sluggish already, and now it's just gone into a black screen. What's actually happening here, we're doing all this work on the main thread. Like I said before, if we do this, it's just going to make the app very, very sluggish indeed. That's just terminated, and the time isn't updating, so it's not achieved the desired effect that we wanted. So the way we get around this is to create a thread. A thread, as I said in the previous tutorial, is just a dedicated processing instance which just can execute its own code in the background and not interfere with anything we do on the main user interface. But we will be running this thread on the user interface because we want to update the text view. So it's quite straightforward to do. So what I'm going to do is just shut this one down, and we'll just get on with the code. So I'm going to use a lot of this code we've actually predefined already, so I'm just going to reorient it a little bit and just make it more straightforward. So what I do first of all, I'm going to set up the I'm going to make some of these variables or objects I guess globally assigned. So I'll put the date formatter up there, and I'm going to move this element here up there as well. Okay, mainly because when we define the thread itself, it's just really going to be almost like a separate class or a method. Really, we need to define things globally so it can recognize what's actually going on. Alright, so just check that we've got the date and time in there, and what I'll do then is got the date format there. We don't need the counter now, so that can go. And I know we're going to get a few errors here, but what I want to do is I'll just save this portion of the code or put it into the clipboard, and this while loop we can just get rid of that. So now I've got a really clean slate to actually work. So inside the onCreate method, I'm going to define the thread. So what I need to do is type thread, and I'm just going to call it T equals new thread, curly brackets, then just some curly brackets here, T. What they do is just put in an override method, so it'll be Control O. Excuse me, I'm looking for on run void, public void run. We don't need the super run bit, so we'll just take that out. So I'm just going to set up a little while here, so this thread's going to execute until it's interrupted. I've not defined any interrupts, but it's just basically going to run forever now until the interrupt's in. So what I need to do is just type while, and it's brackets not interrupted, basically, and just open some curly brackets for this while loop. Okay, so now I'm going to actually sleep the program, so it'll be thread dot sleep, and it'll be 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. Okay, so it's probably going to ask me to try surround some of this with a, oh no, we surround with a trying to catch. Okay, so what we'll do now is just carry on with this, and we need to run this on the user interface, so we need to type out run on UI thread, and it'll be open brackets new, and it'll be runnable. I was going to also put some code in here as well. So this is where we can paste our calendar code in, and that's organize that for us. So what we need to do is actually start the thread. So it'll be t dot, and it'll be start. Okay, let's just format this code and just get rid of this error here. And all we need to do is just type a semicolon in there. So just format that. That's actually all we physically need to do. So we'll just give this a try and see what happens. Okay, so we've got the app running now, so let's just hit the new thread, and you can see it's just updating the date and time every second now, which we want it to do. So that thread's working, it's just executing that code in the background away from the main user interface, which is what we want. So hope you found this useful. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.